Alright, YouTube, it's preliminary prediction time on the 2016 election. We got 4 weeks to go. I didn't want to wait till November 1st. It'd be fruitless to do so. I will say this. This is my reading of the current extremely chaotic political situation. I continue to give Trump the advantage for one reason, and that's because, even cooked polls aside, he is behind. Some people are living in denial as to poll rigging and secret, underground Trump voters and so forth. He is behind. The more accurate polls that show no evidence of having been manipulated still show him a couple points behind. So he is. And he has been for some time. Can we stop pretending that he's not, put on our big boy and big girl pants, and understand that? I would hope that people can. But he still has an advantage. And that advantage is the relatively decent likelihood that somebody has campaign killing info on the Clinton campaign. Specifically, I think that when people talk about Trump funding Project Veritas, I think it goes a lot deeper than that, and I think it was a lot more money than is being publicly disclosed. And he did, admittedly. He did give money to Project Veritas when the campaign began. Now, I don't see this as dirty politicking. I see this as understanding. I think Trump knew that the Clinton campaign would be in bed with the media, figured somebody needs to do the investigative work. It might as well be them because they're good at it. And that what you're seeing now is the culminating fruits of that endeavor, and I think it's beginning to work. James O'Keefe has promised that this October, in the next week, he's going to drop a video that shows Hillary Clinton being despicable, being racist, for what that's worth. Many people on the alt-right, they don't care, but almost all of them support Trump. Hillary's fans are the ones that would really get turned off by, a drunken video of her rambling about black people or something. It'd be her supporters that would jump ship if that happens. So it would hit her especially hard. I don't think it would be like some of these other leaks where her own supporters brush it aside. They say, well, Trump's done worse. Well, the Republicans also commit fraud or whatever. They've been able to do that. It's hurting her soft support and the independent voter base she could attract much more than any core fans that it could possibly hurt. And it's going to continue to be that way. Her hardened core of about 25 points isn't going to abandon her. You could have a video of her literally committing every crime under the sun, a video of her screwing a corpse, and 25% of the population would still vote for her. Likewise with Trump, about 30% of the electorate forms his hardened support. Soft support's smaller, hard support's far larger. That's also been an advantage. I was correct all throughout the Republican primaries because I saw what very few people at the time saw. Stefan Molyneux and Scott Adams and a few other people echoed this sentiment. Mostly, they were laughed at. But look who turned out to be right. Those of us who said that Trump had an advantage, some of us as early as New Hampshire or South Carolina. It became clear after Nevada that he wasn't a flash in the pan. That's when I sort of got in there and said, okay, well, he's won 3 of the first 4 states. Kind of obvious who the front runner is. Super Tuesday, he takes more than half the states. Still pretty damn obvious. At that point, shortly after Super Tuesday, a few more states beyond, it became clear who was fitting into what demographic category. It was clear Cruz was fucked. Rubio was the only challenger he had left in his way at the time. Jeb was nowhere to be seen. Rubio, of course, screwed himself, I believe at the 3rd or 4th debate involving Marco Rubio moves against Christie, and that's when Trump essentially became a shoo-in. We have far more chaos, though, in the general than we ever had in the Republican or Democratic primaries. Of course, in the Democratic primaries, we all remember Michigan. Polling had showed Clinton with a consistent double-digit lead in Michigan, and she ended up losing the state by 1.5 points. It's obvious that polling can be cooked. It's not always accurate, and it can be inaccurate for several reasons. It can be deliberately cooked on behalf of a campaign or some other person, or it can be unintentionally bad because it has a poor methodology. The polling in this election has at times been sporadic and all over the place. In Wisconsin in the Republican primaries, it was the same story. No poll showed Ted Cruz winning the state by as much as he did. A couple of them showed him ahead, several showed Trump ahead. Most of them showed essentially a tie, with Trump rising slowly over time. It was thus a surprise, including to me. This is one state that I certainly got wrong. I expected that Trump would carry a narrow margin of victory based on the aggregated polling that I was seeing. There was actually a hidden Cruz vote, though, because in the weeks leading up to the voting, all the local talk radio stations browbeat people into voting for Ted Cruz. Therefore, he won the state by a fairly decent margin. Got most of the delegates there. Did it stop Trump? No, but he did win the state fair and square, let's face it. Here in the general, though, I have to qualify my prediction. If damaging info, and I mean more damaging than what's already come out, we know Clinton's broken campaign laws, her supporters have infiltrated and caused violence at her opponents' rallies, her public and private position speech to, like, Goldman was probably the most damaging thing we've seen so far. Basket of deplorables was bad enough as well. There are plenty of scandals to choose from involving Clinton. But what you really need is a scandal showing her to be a monster. Specifically because she has successfully convinced a proportion of the electorate, not a majority, but a proportion, that Trump is a monster, that he's deranged and he'll start a nuclear war. What you need is something that shows that her character is no better than the demon she's cast her opponent as. O'Keefe is promising us that. He has said, and he said this some time ago, that this October, in the next week, roughly, he's going to release a video showing Clinton demeaning and disparaging black people in the worst of ways. I would assume this is Hillary drunkenly ranting about black voters, making crude racial stereotypes, racially charged jokes, or whatever. Now, the alt-right won't care. The Trump fans wouldn't give a fuck. But Clinton's fans would, especially the younger progressive voters. If they abandon her, her campaign is over. She will not win election. So if O'Keefe is not exaggerating or lying about the tape existing, then she will not win. And I have no reason not to trust him. This alone gives me a fairly good degree of confidence that he has something at least roughly approximate to what he's claiming to have. If it turns out, though, to be a complete dud, it will have no measurable impact on the race. The same is true when Cernovich says, oh, Clinton's 33,000 emails were found, we've already got them, and they'll be released in November. If that's true, especially if somebody is collating them together, digging through, finding the real dirt, and getting ready to release that as a separate snippet that's more publicly accessible for the low attention span audience, yeah, it'll kill her campaign. She'll drop 10 points overnight. But if that's not true, then it has no measurable impact on the race. If WikiLeaks continues just to dump the mediocre scandal of the Podesta emails, I understand, in a normal election cycle, having that many leaks associated with your brand would cause you to flatline. Hillary would have withdrawn already in a normal race under the stress of so many leaks. But she, because her opponent has been branded as Hitler or a monster, it's buoying her up. Not as well as she would like it, I'm sure. But it is keeping her buoyed. It's kept her from completely faltering, because her opponent is still seen by that sort of partisan core as worse than Hillary Clinton despite all the scandals. But you only need one really big scandal to completely knock that aside and cripple her campaign, because then the view of Clinton will be not just dishonest and unlikable, but systemically so, to the point of being a degenerated individual. That makes her equivalent to what she's cast Trump as, plus with the added detriment of having, 1,000 different scandals already associated with her name. It would crush her campaign. So we've got essentially 3 different groups that can take her down, plus possibly some unseen group that we haven't heard from yet in the next 2 weeks. If, though, this doesn't happen, Trump will lose the election. There's no longer enough time left in the campaign for him to throw a Hail Mary pass. I say this with 99% certainty. There's always the remote chance he makes one exceptionally good speech, Clinton does something exceptionally dumb and screws herself. That can, in theory, happen, but it's extremely unlikely to happen. She wins the election if and only if all of these different groups are lying, and that's why I've continued to give Trump the advantage. In order for her to win, WikiLeaks can't have any more significant dirt. It's all got to be the moderately significant Podesta stuff, because undecided voters, some of them care. Many of them don't. It's not denigrating her support at a rapid enough clip to stop her campaign, even with the daily leaks. If Cernovich has the 33,000 emails, she's done. But if he doesn't have them, it has no effect. If O'Keefe has a Hillary racist video, and I mean a real, genuine, it's actually Hillary, it's actually tape, it's not like crackly audio that might kind of be Hillary, but she can use plausible deniability and say it's not her. I mean an actual video of her rambling and raving about race, she's done. If he has anything shy of that, she's not done. So there are these different groups, all of which possibly or have stated that they do have damaging info on Hillary that's an order of magnitude more damaging than what we've already seen, which is holding her support down. If all of them, though, are just exaggerating or talking out of their ass, then she will win the election. That's what people need to understand. She will win if that's the case. That being said, I'm still hopeful that O'Keefe has what he says he has, because so far he's 3 for 3. He promised part 1 of damaging stuff. It was more damaging than I expected. He promised part 2. It was far more damaging than the first part. He promised part 3, and other than CTR shills that try to get ahead of it and said, oh, well, this is the Clinton racist tape, which O'Keefe, by the way, never said, and nobody paying attention ever would have claimed that. This is a tactic by CTR. His third leak was damaging enough for my liking. What CTR does, by the way, before the next leak from whatever party that you see getting posted around online, especially on 4chan and some of these forums and news sites and so forth, if you see someone claiming that there's going to be a leak, go to the source of the leaks, Twitter or YouTube, to find what the leak's content will be. If the poster is saying anything more damaging than what the original party that's going to be doing the leaking said it would be, they are CTR or DNC. That is with 100% certainty. What they're doing is attempting to set up a dialogue in which people are expecting something significantly more damaging than the already damaging footage or emails or whatever it is that are going to drop. They did this with Assange's WikiLeaks balcony speech, which was pushed back, you remember. CTR spread the rumor that it was going to be he's killing off Clinton's campaign, he's got the 33,000 emails or something like that. Assange never claimed that that was the case, and in fact that was directly refuted by WikiLeaks' own Twitter, where they said it had nothing to do with that. It was a general announcement, as all his prior balcony speeches had been. And so what ended up happening is people were tuning in, actual people, not shills, were listening to the shills, expecting, well, he's taking Clinton down today because he's roaring mad about something or other. And when they didn't get that, they tuned out and they started bad-mouthing WikiLeaks. That was the plan all along by the CTR shills that were piling on every message board to spread the rumor. They also did that in the last 48 hours with O'Keefe's video part 3. They claimed this would be the racist Clinton video. He never said it was going to be the Clinton racist video. Indeed, what he said was this particular segment proves Hillary Clinton's knowledge of what was going on among people like Creamer and Fovel and these other, and Vargas and all of these others. And that's exactly what it shows. It's not a letdown. It is damaging. It shows the very high chance that Hillary Clinton knowingly broke election laws. That being said, no, it's not as damaging as a drunken Hillary Clinton staggering across the room, rambling about how she wishes she could fuck David Duke because she always wanted to be a Klan woman or something like that. No, it's not, but that's not what O'Keefe said it was. He has said the racist tape will drop in October. That means in the next week. I don't have a reason to doubt him, but if it turns out that he doesn't have the tape, or he's exaggerating and it's not that bad, or it shows Clinton racism but it's a third party exposing it, like it's Bob Creamer or Fovel or somebody saying, oh yeah, that Hillary, she really doesn't like black voters, she's just playing up to them, she's not going to do anything for them. If it's something like that, it's not going to have a measurable impact upon the race. You might presume that it's damaging. I might look at it and say that it's evidence of her being racially motivated. Certainly any thinking individual would, but her supporters at this point are not rational individuals. They bought into the two-party football team mentality. It'd be just like if similar material were released about Trump. There are plenty of core supporters of Trump that would not acknowledge the reality of that material and would make any excuse for it not to be real. So there's a preliminary election prediction. Trump wins if any or all of these parties are being truthful. If they're not just doing the clickbait shilling bullcrap. If they are, if they're all exaggerating or talking out of their ass, Clinton wins. And that's the best that I can do. There's still too much chaos left in the election for me to make a definitive prediction because I don't know what sort of material is going to drop. There could also be another Trump leak in the works. There could be a tape of him raping a 5-year-old for all we know. There could be. It could be or him having sex with dead animals or something. Well, if there's something like that in there, I can't really say, oh, Trump has an advantage at that point. And if there is a Clinton racist video, if there's a video of Hillary Clinton rambling about black people, ranting about picking cotton or grape drank or any of these other things, it will crush her campaign. But so far, I don't know definitively that such a video exists. It could be that O'Keefe is just trying to get more attention to release his other leaks to larger audiences, which would be a noble goal, but very, very stupid from a strategy standpoint. I wish that O'Keefe would confirm a second time here. Twitter, YouTube, doesn't matter where. I wish he would confirm yet again, yes, indeed, I do have such a tape. It will drop on such and such a date, or something to that effect. Because it would go miles towards allowing people to gauge what direction the election is going into. Trump is behind. But if any or all of these parties have what they have said that they do indeed have in their possession, it won't matter that he's behind, because he won't be behind for very long. That's about all. Peace out.